Hi, I'm Pwner, creator of the ERBcast and Jaws, and I'm here to tell you that I understand what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, this is the real Zach Sherwin? Yes, stick around for the end, and I can explain more. For today, on a really special episode of the ERBcast, we actually managed to get not the first or second person associated with the series, but rather the third man himself. Zach Sherwin is going to be joining us today.
Yeah, the third in command, essentially.
Of course, you know him as his many roles in ERB, definitely known for his great rhyme scheming, Stephen King, Alexander the Great. So obviously you know him from a lot of the best rhymes he's had in the series.
Yeah, I think we're finally actually putting our name to the test. ERBcast, we actually have somebody from ERB on this show. This is quite monumental. This is pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty exotic.
Yeah, and we'll get to see what interests he's got, what he thinks of the whole series, how it came to be, and even how he managed to help Lloyd out with the initial concept. So we'll let him know about what we know, and he can let us know what he knows.
Okay, is that the one and only you back share with?
As far as I know. Hi, Red Ink.
Oh my goodness, it's so. Oh my god, this is awesome. But it's so wonderful to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Absolutely. And now, listen, my profile image is nothing but a blank slate, unfortunately. But I had something else in mind that was definitely would have embodied me. But it doesn't matter, though. Listen, simplicity is fine.
You're all good. It's a pleasure to meet you.
All right, guys. Yes, this is awesome. This is Zach Sherwin's here, everyone.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So as I said before, you know that I'm an ERB expert. Really know a lot of things about the series, and that you yourself had, since its inception with Lloyd, you had actually talked to him about the concept of doing it. Of course, Peter brought it over to YouTube, but when you had talked to him, I want to know how that came to be, if you remember anything, like the first steps of it.
Yeah, well, Lloyd and I have known each other for such a long time. And when I moved to LA, he was very helpful with getting me set up with spots to do. I was MC Mr. Napkins at the time and just looking for places to perform my comedy raps around LA. And, Lloyd is just an idea dynamo. He's constantly coming up with entrepreneurial schemes. And, even within his schemes, there are schemes. He's brilliant. And he thinks a lot. So, he was like, let's try and put a show together. Maybe it'll be a thing. And so we did this freestyle show that, as an expert on ERB, I bet you've read one or more of us talking about, but it was called Check 1, 2, and we would freestyle and take audience suggestions. It was very short form improv-y. And he kind of came up with we should take suggestions of historical characters and battle as them. I really fancy myself much more of a writer than a performer and was never comfortable doing those. Lloyd shines in that environment. It's right in his wheelhouse. A great writer too, but he was just exploding off the page in these historical character segments. And then he brought Pete in. Pete was in his touring improv group, was getting his YouTube channel launched, but he brought him into place to do some musical backup for us. And I think I actually won't take any credit for the grand idea. I think Pete and Lloyd kind of saw the lane and marched down it.
And you're along for the ride in the best way possible. We really can't really imagine an interview without you, or, really without associating you with Peter and Lloyd. I mean, you definitely are an integral part, and by far, just a gargantuan piece. And we love it for that. You're just absolutely magnificent.
Thanks, guys. I feel appreciated.
Of course. You're that super significant building block. And, again, it's just really ERB without you doesn't really, I don't know, I can't really fathom that idea. I actually did want to ask you regarding we actually went by the MC, Mr. Napkins, the latest. What made you actually want to alter it? Because I didn't know that you did explain why you kind of wanted to, not really associate it with that name, or I don't know. What made you want to alter it? And maybe give more of a refined answer.
Yeah, of course. Well, I have a song called Stage Name. It's the last music video on my MC Mr. Napkins YouTube channel. And I really wrote that as sort of my way to say it exactly the way I wanted to. And it helps to not just ramble, but have the constraints of the form of a song. So yeah, I just felt that it was MC Mr. Napkins was kind of a prop that I needed at first before I felt comfortable being Zach Sherwin on stage. I was shy and had a lot of growing up to do and didn't feel comfortable. The whole point of being on stage is to in my opinion, or at least what I'm working towards, let me put it like that, is to just like be your, like really put across who you actually are on stage. That's what I respond to the most when I see a performer, a sense that I'm really seeing something true about that person. And so MC Mr. Napkins was like smoke and mirrors, and that kept people from seeing true aspects of me. Whether or not they experienced it that way, it made me feel comfortable enough to be this character on stage. So eventually I was just like, I just don't need this anymore. And there were scenarios where people would respond negatively to it. And I didn't drop the name because of that negative reaction, but it was a relief once I let it go to just be like, cool, that's not a thing that I have to kind of like deal with anymore. But I will tell you a funny meta story about this, which is I really did. I mean, if you want everything I have to say about it in a more articulate and concise way, I recommend watching Stage Name. And a funny story about that is that I really crafted that song to be exactly what I have to say on the subject. And I was workshopping it live, and I did a show in San Francisco, and a friend of mine who I've known for a long time attended the show, and I performed a draft version of Stage Name at it. And afterwards, the show ended. I said bye to people and I walked out and met my friend in the lobby, and he goes, "So you're dropping the Stage Name, huh? What's the story with that?" And I was like, "Did you? The song that okay, never mind."
Yeah, they didn't keep up with the lore.
I guess not.
Yeah, the Sherwin lore just expands beyond that reach. So, I mean, what's up with that? Yeah, you would think.
I will say I'm very fond of people who still there's a comedian named Matt Knudsen who actually performs a lot at the West Side Comedy Theater, which is Lloyd's, the theater Lloyd co-owns in Santa Monica. Matt is one of the great people in the world, and he calls me Zapkins to this day. So I'm fond of people who still know me by that name.
That is a pretty sick hybrid.
Yeah, of course. I do remember, like, it is a pretty memorable name because way back then when I was, season 1 of ERB, I was into it, but it was, Standout, MC Mr. Napkins as you as Einstein. I still think that's one of your best roles, really. I like how it's very like no other rapper really comes out the gate with like such a huge hit as Einstein for me. I know you like to do a lot of the wordplay and rhyme schemes now. It's like I think combining that aspect, that's like a great aspect of ERB to where they really stick in your mind. So of course, like your stage name, you obviously like came out very I think notable as a performer. But I think you also had this one like in the very start of it, you were kind of expected to be a part of the team. And Dave McCary, the director for ERB, I think he was more set on doing just Peter and Lloyd. I think, as you said, you aren't too much of a performer. I think, was that a reason why, or do you know anything about, what I'm talking about regarding him?
No, I don't know the conversations that went on in the early days. So yeah, I can't really speak to those early determinations about what was going to be, but it was, I mean, I just feel like we all very, very naturally fell into like, this was going to be Pete and Lloyd's thing. And I was happy to be asked along as a writer and was doing my own stuff and working on my own projects. And so I'll have some harsh words with Dave the next time I see him, but
If it's true.
You hear that, Dave?
No, it all worked out in a great way. And
Awesome.
I will say that of the two, if I had to choose only one, it would be writer. But luckily I don't, and I do get to do both. And I love to perform, and I especially love to perform material that I have written for myself to perform. I also really like writing material for other people to perform, and I like that more and more as my life and career go on. And the times that I've gotten to, I loved working on the TV show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because Rachel Bloom, the star of that show, and the cast of people that she assembled to put it together, they would do what the best collaborators do, which is they take what you did, you can tell that they got what you did, and then they put their own zhuzh on it. And it's just really a pleasure to watch. Like, I don't do it often, but every now and then I'll rewatch Jap Battle, which just I think is the most the thing that I wrote for that show that works the best. Co-wrote. It was a collaborative process, but yeah, Rachel added so much, and I think so many of the ERB performers add so much. And there's a rare thing that happens when I'm watching battles when they come out. So much time elapses between when I'm doing my part, which is being a piece of the writing process, weeks, if not months, and sometimes years go by in the production pipeline. And so I'll be watching a finished battle when it drops. And I'll see a line and I'll be like, that's great. Did I write it? And then I'll have to go back and look at the scripts and see what was what. So yeah, my point is I love to perform. I also take a different and special kind of joy in watching really talented performers deliver material that I've written. It's like a magical kind of alchemy to see that happen.
Oh yeah, just seeing that, vision kind of just, be applied fully. It's actually super mesmerizing. And what's it call it? It's really essentially just lightning in a bottle in a way. I mean, listen, the process is to just get that stuff done, just seeing that, just applied completely all the way. And I don't know, it's really definitely something to be proud of though. And, it's definitely something to rank it high as an accolade of some sort. And it's awesome. Like really it is.
And even Peter and Lloyd have such different senses of music and rhythm than I do. So I really like submitting them raw ideas and then watching them put it through their wood chipper, and deliver it the way that makes sense to them. So that's also cool too, to see the differences in the execution of whatever the raw idea was.
I would say I did want to know, because you did mention one thing I was curious about. Do you have any in your own style like that you tried to say just mimic or maybe get influence from, like favorite rappers, musicians, anything like that?
Like people I'm intentionally imitating, not unless I'm intentionally imitating them. Like I have a Drake parody out there somewhere from 10 years ago. Or I don't know. Yeah, there's just random stuff like that. But no, I mean, like it's all just kind of like a mashup, a blend of like mid 90s rappers and then whoever I listen to from there. But it's like, I think unless you really work hard to stay very informed about the new stuff, you kind of hear what you hear. But like in the same way that you can learn a language really easily when you're a child and it gets harder when you're older, like keeping your flow and your influences and the way you sound when let's say let's just keep it to rapping. Like I just sound like the people, whatever my brain picked up of the people I was listening to heavy at the time. So like Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang. I mean, none of this is surprising. Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan, early Eminem. Who else was I listening to in those days? A little bit of Cypress Hill, Naughty by Nature, like all these classic golden era hip hop groups. I just, pillaged, took what worked for me and started rapping like that.
You have absolutely fantastic taste, by the way.
I mean, thank you. Those are the universally acknowledged greatest acts of one of the greatest eras in hip hop. So I don't know that I can take too much credit for liking them, but they are great.
Well, it's good enough for us, though, I'd say. Like, you have good taste, Mr. Sherwin. So I think, hey, yeah, I can't complain about that too much. You did actually mention how much you actually do enjoy being the part of the writing process. I wanted to ask, how much of your writing kind of differentiates from Lloyd and Peter's contribution, or how much of it you actually, yeah, which battle were you mostly involved with that actually makes a lot of people say, you know what, that's very, very, very Sherwin writing right there. That people know that it's you in a way, the Sherwinisms. There we go. Yep, there we go.
I mean, I don't know that there's really one battle that comes to mind. I'm not trying to be evasive. I'm just trying to think of an answer to your question. I think everybody, not to give you spout cliches, but I actually do think it's true that Pete and Lloyd and I are just very different in what we see when we tackle the task of coming up with a batch of verses for these figures to say to each other. I think that's a strength of ours, that we each have such different approaches. And I mean, I just gravitate so naturally to wordplay that I think a lot of the puns and plays on words, but I also think Lloyd and Pete are very fluent in doing those things. So maybe if you did an analysis of the different kinds of puns or something like that, you can spot some trends, but it's really collaborative at this point. And also I came on to the team as a writer in 2011. So at this point, we've been working together for almost 15 years. It's had its more intense phases and it's less intense, but the relationship has evolved, and it is definitely the longest job I've ever had in any area of show business. And so by now, we kind of like, there's just a culture of writing, and I know when to stop pushing and when to be like, oh, this idea is really good. I haven't conveyed it yet, the potential that I see. And so like sometimes I'll come up with a joke and I'll pitch an early version of it, watch it not get traction, and then be like, let me not advocate for that super hard right now, but I am going to put it in the queue of lyrics that I'm going to continue to tinker with. And I'm going to bring it back later when it's good. And this isn't something I think I've ever really explicitly talked about with Lloyd and Pete, but I can't give you any specific examples, but I'm certain that there are jokes that I've come up with where I'm like, that's really good. And they didn't get it because I haven't done all the work on it yet. But like once it's baked all the way through, I think that's going to have a good likelihood of going in the battle. And not always, but sometimes my gut turns out to be right. So, of course, that's really satisfying to be like, yeah, I saw your potential when you were just a baby idea. And they're also, like Lloyd is an improviser, and he is just, his life outlook is a yes and based model. And so he's great to work with. He'll always, it's never just a shut it down, no kind of response. I mean, like at worst, it's sort of like a huh, and then he'll kind of sit with it for a second. And I really appreciate that aspect of his kind of leadership / collaboration. And then Pete actually taught me something really important about, because like in ERB, I am a cog in the machine that those two guys are at the controls of. I have a project that I'm at the controls of, the Crossword show. And when I'm running the show, I think a lot about the various leaders I've encountered that I admire, and that includes Lloyd and Pete. And one thing specifically that I've taken from Pete is like, when a thing happens, I'll deliver I'll wrap a demo of a verse that I've sort of put together for the first time. And he'll just sort of reflexively respond like, am I allowed to swear? Or do we keep it clean?
Oh, you mean I thought I was like Peter asking you that or something. No, you can swear if you want.
Yes. The second the last syllable drops, he'll be like, fuck yes. And pump a fist and like explode out of his chair with excitement. And I don't think he's lying. I think he's just excited to watch creativity coming down the conveyor belt. And sometimes it doesn't wind up going in, or sometimes none of it winds up going in. But it's just so encouraging, instead of having the person who received what you created be like, okay, cool, let's keep writing and, take another pass. Like, I feel lucky to be in an environment where I can present ideas, have them received really warmly. It just keeps everybody wanting to make more, instead of a discouraging environment where you're like, well, I mean, like, I don't even want to bring my best stuff if it's going to be received like that. So I think that's a super valuable lesson for leaders to learn. And I feel I'm grateful that I've gotten to absorb it from those guys.
Listen, that fuck yes sounded really explosive, and we absolutely adore that. That sounded completely out of passion.
Yeah, of course, Peter can bring this type of character often, I do notice. What you said before regarding, tinkering with something, having an idea, but then you can, I've noticed that's something that some other people, if they want to be creative, they have to sort of like, you think of it and then you can't really get to it, but you don't have to like push your mind to it because it's not going to come out immediately. Now, if you come back to whatever you're working on and then you have like a different state of mind, and then that's when it comes, like you get more inspiration from that. So that's a good way to, what you said, it reminded me of that. I think that's how it applied. And one thing I did want to know, I'm very curious. One thing I know that you got credit to writing for, but I'm wondering how it came to be, is the fact that Peter said you had helped work on the George Carlin verse, how you were part of the writing process on that. But I want to know, because I feel like Joan Rivers, even Robin Williams, they were like a stronger verse. But George Carlin, obviously, he's a very fast talker. He has a lot of his like fluidity and how he speaks. I was thinking, if Zach Sherwin is up to bat for George Carlin, I'm surprised that didn't really come out. So I was really curious, like, what is it that, like, if Peter's just crediting you, how's it that it didn't have that actual George Carlin-esque type of manner, I would say, in the verse?
I honestly, would need to look at a spreadsheet that we keep to be confident that I had worked on that battle. I mean, it was so long ago that I don't have specific memories of working on it. So I'm going to have to pass on this question. The, I don't have anything great to tell you. I'm looking in my Google Drive. When was it?
Maybe Pwner was 2019 was when it came out. I don't know if Peter was just thinking of you and he imagined you were a part of it just naturally, you know?
No, I have a doc that says Carlin verse. It's your boy George Carlin. I'm a mad dog snarlin. I was born in the Bronx and brought up in Harlem. Is this it? I'm dope at spitting bars and getting
Yeah.
crowds hardy harrin while you're the least threatening black dude since Carlton.
Oh, it seems more or less intact.
Yeah, it was how it presented itself in the battle.
Yeah.
You fought for circus elephants. I pat you on the back, sir. But 7 marriages, talk about a ring master. Is that one?
Wow, should have made it. That is a great line. I adore that. That could have been a real good bit for Carlin, really.
Huh. Oh, non-stopping brain droppings like my wits got the shits. That's good.
That one did come to the battle.
That was great.
Like really, I was thinking like some of the lines. You ever have these moments where you're like thinking there's a lot I wrote and there's some parts I can kind of cut out, because I feel like the Carlin verse felt like there was part where I was thinking, rather than like I'm how'd it go? I'm dope at spitting bars, getting crowds hardy harding. I think like spitting bars is like so common in ERB. If he was more like I'm dope at pushing envelopes, getting crowds hardy harding. Or another line I also came up with that could have worked is like SNL, I'll set a high bar when I get my bars, and that's what I was thinking of. So like stuff like that, I'm thinking there's a lot where it could have been really applied to, like that ringmaster line. I love it. I'm surprised Carlin didn't have as much to go off of with, like, that I felt was really actual Carlin.
Sure. I mean, there's like so much going on. It's there's always so many factors that go into one of these, and they include things like timing and stuff that's going on in like your personal life. I mean, it's just such a holistic and all-consuming process. So I, again, really cannot speak with any degree of like, I know what I'm talking about what it was like when they were making these decisions. And of course, with the benefit of hindsight, you can sort of like Monday morning quarterback these verses all along. It would be funny to do like it would be awesome to do like a second pass at epic rap battles with the same, I've never thought of this before, but like with the same matchups, but just go through the entire catalog and write like an entirely new set. That would be like an interesting alternate dimension kind of thing. My point is, every time it's like, you're just like, oh man, I wish they would have been. Yes, of course. When you hear people give ideas, you're like, oh, that would have been great. But in the end, there's 16 bars that need to get filled in. I will say that, so you have to make some decisions and like move ahead and get the thing produced. I will say that I think I can say from experience that a lyric nowadays that gets pitched, that has its foundation, whose foundation is a pun about bars, that really, really needs to be special in 2024 at ERB. Like, you will definitely hear like, oh, we've done so many bar puns. So like, yeah, you better have some special, very specific character driven reason for, talking about their bars if you're going to talk about bars. And, in the early days, there was much more like, it was looser. Now it's like kind of every line needs to have like a couple things going on. And I appreciate that when I watch older battles. I'm like, yeah, there's stuff in here we definitely would have edited out. And it's a double-edged sword because it's awesome to have super tight verses that are packing a lot of nutritional content. But also you miss the wild kind of like figuring it out Wild West early days. So some of both.
Yeah, of course. And, we obviously would want to have you back to be able to see your wordplay and anything else you want to help out with. Red himself actually has certain casting choices. He's like in the way I mentioned you as Borat and you loved it. And it turns out you did actually have that on your Instagram. I looked into ERB's community post about it. Red also mentioned other things that he was interested for you to be cast for.
Yeah, sorry, is that where you gonna say something?
No, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was one in particular where I think that it seems like a very you goal. We're thinking basically with Mary Poppins versus Willy Wonka, but with you as Bert as a cameo of some sort. And
It's a fast talker.
I don't know. It just seems, yeah, exactly. It just seems very much you. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
It's really cute. It's really cute. You know, I have to make so many creative decisions in my role as the crossword show guy. And a thing I love about ERB is that I just show up and do my homework. You know, they say, this is what the slate is going to be. And I just bust out the pen on whatever we're working on. So, like, you know, when they're like, any roles you want to be this season, I always say no. And I just will submit to what, you know, the decisions that they're making with their like 20,000 feet galaxy brain type of perspective. So I'll tell you what, if I ever hear Mary Poppins being discussed as a matchup, I will say, you know, there's a couple of people out there at least who would be excited to see a Bert cameo. So I will commit to that much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like Peter as
because,
Willy Wonka for sure.
yes, because he looks exactly like Gene Wilder. And come on, you as a Dick Van Dyne character, I was on Not Magical within itself, right? I mean, I don't know. To me, it seems like a perfect matchup, though. Just really for the both of you. Come on, like write that in there. It kind of writes for itself in a way.
Yeah, and one thing I brought up to community that I think if you're obviously clean shaven and get the right makeup, hair, and all, that you could pass as Saul Goodman the same way you did pass as John Wick. I think they have enough of like you have the facial structure for it. What do you think on that? Because a lot of people can be kind of mixed on it or say Lloyd could do Saul, but I see you more as Saul Goodman.
Yeah, so do I.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'm with any suggestion of a character that I might play, it all sounds fun and interesting. I don't have specific roles that I'm like, oh man, it's on my bucket list to be this person before the series ends, or I do. So I think just my overall reaction to questions like that is like, that sounds really fun. And if it ever comes to pass that that's a role that it looks like is going to happen, I look forward to getting excited about it. And like, because you really do, you immerse in it, you learn the lore of the character, you get steeped in their mythology, the tropes, the things about them that are their things. And then it's like a joy to like find a way to bring it to life and work on the impression and figure it out in the studio. And then there's a new level of figuring it out, like on the set when you're shooting and the costume. And so, yeah, it's really fun to inhabit. And yeah, I hope both of those things eventually come to pass. That would be a wonderful world in which they did.
Yeah,
That's awesome. We absolutely appreciate those thoughts. That's awesome.
yeah, definitely. And just to wrap it up, because I think maybe Red has something. I wanted to know if you also in like right now, maybe you're probably like need to take some more time on it, but do you have any favorite type of characters that you had enjoyed in ERB? It can be your own roles, it can be others, but like any ones that you know that you're like always feel like standout character rappers, anything like that to you?
I will just speak to my own roles. It's fun to write for everybody. It's like writing for fictional characters feels both easier because the stakes are so low and less satisfying because it doesn't exist in reality. So in terms of writing, it's very satisfying to take on a difficult character like, I don't know, the darker figures. It's really nice to get those guys and get them. I thought Marx versus Ford was quite challenging in terms of like feeling like I really nailed we really nailed the like right things to say about those characters. But I think that battle is awesome and the writing is super cool. In terms of characters I've played, I like characters where I get to play against type. So characters who I think are not against type for me are nerdy, often actually Jewish in real life characters like Albert Einstein and Egon Spengler, and Stephen King isn't Jewish, but he is kind of bookish and nerdy, especially as we played him with the glasses. Doc Brown is basically an Einstein, takeoff. Though I would say very not Jewish feeling, but anyway, separate conversation. Characters who are against type that it's very fun for me to play are like, Sherlock Holmes too. He's like a brainy nerd. But like Wayne Gretzky, I don't care about sports. That was fun to do. And John Wick, that was awesome. That was a joy. And also the makeup wasn't super intensive for John Wick. So that was good too. I think they cast me because I grew a beard during the pandemic. I don't think the idea would have entered their heads, but suddenly I had this salt and pepper Keanu-esque beard and they were like, So
Yeah, listen, Zach, you already look exactly like Keanu Reeves, clean shaven. It's to the point where we actually do want to see you as Neo as well, whatever, like in the future. That'd be kind of awesome as well.
Yeah.
And actually, there is actually one role in particular. Okay, and I haven't watched it Happy Days for a while. At least I had a month to be wrapping up the second season. But actually, I think that you personify everything that's cool about just being somewhat nerdy. But I mean, you're overall cool. You're just an overall a joy person to be around. All right, you're just overall a cool person. And you know who else is cool? Arthur Fonzarelli, the Fonz.
The Fonz.
I think you would absolutely nail Henry Winkler's role, like if you were to be casted against what's it call it, Dave Urkel.
Yeah. And Henry Winkler also has a Jewish identity as you do. So that actually is interesting to come around.
he's Jewish.
Yep. No. I just it seems like a very, very you role. That's why I brought it up. Otherwise, I mean, and come on, Happy Days is it's pretty great. I'd say from what I've been watching. So that's all.
Love the pitches. Heard, noted, appreciated.
Of course, Zach. Oh,
No worries. This is general Pappy discussion. Oh, that's great.
and yeah, it's been great talking to you, letting me know anything like from what you give and what we can give. Of course, we're just like huge fans in general of how you present yourself, how you are. So yeah, it's been great to really like have that sort of like as a part of our podcast now, like kind of a part of the history where we actually managed to get Zach himself. It's really, really an honor.
Thank you guys. It's an honor for me too. And I really, really appreciate the enthusiasm and the fandom and the love. And I feel it very much. It's a really a beautiful thing. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Oh man. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Until next time, Zach.
Bye.
Ta-ta.
And now, a quick word. This interview was made in part due to the Zach Sherwin Patreon. For those interested, you too have the ability to have a short conversation with Zach and support him if you'd like to be able to chat with him for any more knowledge on his writing and rap battles, just so long as you can keep it in moderation to not go overboard within the confines of what is allowed, and without sharing any private information. He would definitely enjoy having any fans come around, and you can let him know that ERBcast sent you. You may be thinking you need to know what boundaries can be placed to make sure everything is done right for how to speak with him, so hopefully you can act responsibly in doing so. I think Barack Obama said it best in his first inaugural speech when he declared, "I've never sneezed, not once, not in my whole life. Like, is everyone just messing with me? Because it's not even funny anymore. Guys, is sneezing real?" Thank you for watching.
Next time on ERBcast.
No, I take it back. I take that back. I disavow. Guys, I want you to know that guy who said that thing a second ago, that's not the real me. That's not who I am as a person.
That was Salami Tommy.
That was the salami. That was the salami coming out. Pause.
Tune in for the next episode of ERBcast.